Hi guys, how are you doing? Hope you're doing very, very, very well. I don't know if I'm well myself because right now I'm having a throbbing headache. Okay, and I think one of the reasons why I'm currently having a throbbing headache is because of what I'm about to talk about. Now, I'll start with a disclaimer and say that this video is not to attack anyone. All right, this is just me sharing an experience that I've had, and hopefully to sensitize parents out there and also teachers, okay, out there as well, and especially teachers who handle preschool, the preschool age, teachers who handle that age. And I'll also start by saying I honestly feel that teaching is a calling. It is a calling, and especially teaching children. Our dog from playgroup, PP1, PP2, handling that age is a calling. And if you don't have that calling, I don't know. I don't know. Now, initially, I have been so disturbed as to whether I should share this or not. And in fact, at first, I was like, if I ever decide to share what I'm about to share, I am going to, do it generally, like say that this is something that happened many years ago with one of my children. But as I'm sharing this, I decided that no, I'm not going to say that it happened with one of my children. I'm going to be very specific. I'm not even going to say that it happened years ago. No, I'm going to say that it happened last term and last year of my sons. Now, let me do a background information of this video. Now, last year, my son turned 4 years old. Okay. And I had decided that he's going to join school after Afike 4 years old. Now, at the time, he was still not very expressful of himself. Ile hakuwa anaongea very fluently and all that. Okay. Um, and that was not worrying me at all, because the communication skills that he had at the time uh, was okay for someone to understand what he was saying. So now we had decided that we are going to let him reach 4 years old so that he can join school. So that means at 4 years old, sio lazima angeenda playgroup. Okay, so I went, had a word with the school, and I told them that I want my son to go to PP1. Put this in mind that, of course, there are children who had in the same class who had attended playgroup. That is the previous year, which was not the case with my son. This was a boy who was joining school from scratch. Okay, now I took him to school, and I don't know what happened in school, in class, in that specific class, but my son cried for about three consecutive days, non-stop, non-stop. I don't know what happened. So later on, in fact, just this year, just last time, is when I tried to join the dots, and I was like, wow, okay, this might have been what happened. Yani huyo mtoto alikuwa analia, akikuja jioni hata sauti imepotea for those 3 days. So on the third day, I was like, mimi hapana. Asubuhi ukimtayarisha mtoto hataki. Those first 3 days, mtoto hataki kabisa kwenda shule kabisa, na si ile ndio amejoin shule, just join the school. Na this was a little bit overboard. So in fact, the next 2 days, I literally had to use force in dressing him up so that he goes to school. Now, on the third day, I went to the office and told them, no, Mimi, I'm not very comfortable with my son crying this much. Okay. And I don't know what the problem is. Luckily, there were two classes. And just as I was actually going to the office, the teacher in the other class, now there are two streams. So the teacher in the other stream, apparently alikuwa ameenda hiyo class ya mtoto wangu, okay, na akamshika tu mkono and the boy akanyamaza kabisa. So now hivyo tu vile nilienda kwa ofisi. So the office decided, juu umemshika mkono akanyamaza, so you just go and take him to be in your class. And that's exactly what happened. Now, that was last year. So he went to the other class and adapted very, very well. Although it was quite a struggle. Kuamka asubuhi, that boy could cry, really cry. And it really, really bothered me. Mpaka, I am honestly telling you, we almost took him for assessment. Tulianza kujiuliza, ama huyo mtoto ako na autism. Yeah, we started asking ourselves, ama he has an issue because the crying was too much. Now, come this year, so eventually he adapted very well in that class, calmed down, and the cries, of course, minimized. And isipokuwa the days when he would wake up when he was moody, and of course, if he wakes up when he's moody, it's a moody morning. Now, come this year, see, anaenda the next class. Sasa kuenda, the teacher who received him when he was new was the same teacher who was now teaching them. Now, the two classes have now been combined, and this teacher is the one who is handling both classes. Okay. And I still don't know what happened. At this time, I still don't know what happened. When my son was joining school. Now, come this year, the beginning of this year, the first day, very excited, preparing to go to school, extremely happy. Akaenda shule. I took him to school. Now, the next day, the next morning, the kid does not want to go to school. It's the same. Whatever was happening last year is now sort of recurring again. Analia anasema hataki kwenda shule. All right? Haya. So see me, I went to school. By the way, Mimi, I am those parents who say, growing up, most of the times, us growing up, it was very rare for you to find a parent going to the office to defend their child. It was very rare. On very rare occasions, you can point one or two or three parents who used to do that. But during our time, most of the times, the teacher was always right. Now, and well, I have no problem with that because, everyone became something out of that. Okay. Now, so I went to the office and I told them, now, I don't know what the issue is, but yesterday as I was bringing this child to school, he was extremely excited to go back to school. Now today, day two, the same thing that happened last year is now happening again. Okay. So I want to understand, what is the problem? Who is teaching them? I didn't even know that that teacher is the one who was teaching them now. That's who's teaching them. That same teacher. It's like, what? Okay. So tell me now, utanisaidia aje? And Mimi, by the way, I know a class can be of 40 students. That one I know of 40 pupils. But my one child matters as much as the 39 others. That is how I tell myself. That one child of mine matters as much as the other 39 children in that class. Now, Mimi, I spoke. I asked the office now, how can you help me? Because I just don't understand. Why isn't my son getting along with this specific teacher? Why isn't he getting along? What's the problem? Okay. After that, Mimi, I left the office to handle it in whichever way they would. Okay. And najua sahi labda kuna mtu anasema si unge transfer mtoto. It's not always as easy as it is for some people to just, you've taken your child to a certain school, something has happened, and now there's that option of transferring immediately. No. Now, hiyo ikaisha. Sawa. Tuka-struggle hivi kidogo. And the crying still occurred. And then, luckily, there was a parent friend of mine who had just brought her kids to that school, the one newcomers. Okay, I'm talking about last time. One of her kids are in that class. And then I had randomly seen her post on WhatsApp status. Mapiga picture, amesema a new school and all that. And I noticed the office. This office looks very familiar. This is the office of the school where my kids study. So, of course, I replied, nikamwambia, welcome to this and this school. And then later on, like after a week or so, and that is just at the beginning of the term, after a week or so, nikapatana na that lady. And I asked her, hey, how are the kids? Have they adapted in school? And she told me about the son who was in that class. Okay. Akaniambia, the same behavior. Mtoto alienda the first day, very excited. The second, third day, mtoto hapo anataka kuingia kwa basi, hapo anataka kutayarishwa. The same, and this one is a child who is able to express themselves, okay? Huyu ni mtoto anaongea very fluently, unlike my child at the time when he was joining. So, and the boy told the mom, mimi teacher so and so ananichapa kwa nguvu. And this is a newcomer, mind you, this is a newcomer. And that is when I started joining the dots, and I was like, wow, okay, so that means this teacher must have also caned my child who had just joined school, and that was the reason for the cries. That was the reason my son almost hated school. Immediately he joined. And I went to the office. I went. I don't just sit. I don't just sit and watch things going wrong. I went back. And I told them. I was very open, and I told them that story that I've just shared. Nikaanza pia hapo WhatsApp status, nikamwambia welcome to this school. And then after 1 week, I came across that friend of mine, and I asked her if the kids had adapted to the new school. And then I got that story. And I went and told them, you people, are you telling me that this teacher is child-friendly? Can you convince me that this teacher is child-friendly? Because to me, I'm assuming, kama uko na hiyo calling ya kuhandle hao watoto wadogo, na unajua hao watoto wadogo, okay? Hao watoto wadogo ndio mtoto atajipupuia, Kama wewe ni wale wa get disgusted, maybe, I honestly feel your level is a higher level of maybe grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, where they are able to comfortably go to the toilet. Because kids will mess up, kids will vomit, they will mess up. And if you don't have that heart of kids, you will not be able to handle that. So I went, told them, Mimi, I'm joining the dots now. And it seems this teacher must have caned my child, or must have done something to my child. Akiwa mpya ndio ametoka nyumbani, ameingia shule. Ndio maana alikuwa analia hivyo uncontrollably. And I left it at that. Mind you, this whole time, mimi hata sitaongea na mwalimu. I have not spoken to that teacher. Mimi usema, it's better I follow the office, okay? Because the office is the one who knows their staff. Wanajua huyu mwalimu ako hivi, huyu mwingine ako hivi, etc., etc. Okay, now, that was the first instance. And that was last term. Last term was the ghetto for me. It was the ghetto. Now, the second instance was my son. My son, huyo tu, alikuwa amegonjeka kidogo, akalazwa hosi. Okay? Na ile time alilazwa hosi, it was around when they were almost going for half term. So, he didn't do some exam. So, he missed school for some few days. And then around that time, that's when watoto wanaitishangwa file and all that. So, I told the big brother, chukua hii file, peleka shule, upeleke huko kwa class ya brother yako, na uambie mwalimu hasikii vizuri. And the brother did exactly that, okay? Now, mtoto akalazwa, akatibiwa, akatoka hosi. Now, venye alitoka hosi like on a Thursday, na shule walikuwa narudi on Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember very well. But still, he was still quite weak. So, hiyo siku ya kurudi shule, akapelekwa na sister yangu shule. And the teacher asked, kwani alikuwa wapi? My sister told her she had been unwell, alikuwa hosi. Haya. On that day, lunchtime, my son must have overfed. So mtoto alikula, akatapika. And why am I sharing this information? I'm sharing this information so that you as a parent, first of all, if you don't defend your child, nobody will. They may not defend themselves. Most of them, mtoto atajidefend aje. So if you don't defend them as their parent, nobody is going to defend them. Okay? So, mtoto wangu lunchtime si amekula. Si ni kama ame overfeed. Mtoto si ametapika. Haya. Jioni nimekuja. Na immediately I enter the door, my son says, nilipanguza matapiko, very excitedly. And the brother was there, the big brother. Nikamuuliza, what is he talking about? Akaniambia mimi nilipatana naye lunchtime akirudisha mop kwa washroom. Na alikuwa na matapiko kwa nguo. And then ni kama mwalimu alikuwa amemwambia apanguze nini? Matapiko kwa floor. Okay. Nikasema fine. It was around 5 p.m. when I got to the house. I dropped what I had and I went to school. I went to the office again. This is now the what time? This is the third time. I went to the office again and I asked the person I met there. So now I've just gotten home and nikaambiwa mtoto wangu walipatana na bradhake lunchtime kama ameshika mop anarudisha kwa washroom na alikuwa na matapiko, so the brother went and wiped him huko kwa washroom. That's the beauty I think of having siblings in the same school, right? Yeah. So nikamwambia hivyo. So I asked, could it be, juu unajua watoto saa ingine huwa wanadanganya, so I wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth. So when I went to the office, I needed them to ask the teacher, did you tell this child to wipe their vomit? Haya, nikaenda nikawambia. I told them, I'm not a happy parent. I'm not happy because I don't understand if it's true that indeed he was told to wipe his vomit. I don't understand why someone who is of a sane mind would tell a 5-year-old, hiyo time hata amefikisha 5 years old, apanguze matapiko. And I think what triggered me is a certain video I saw of, I think it was in South Africa, where a child was in daycare akatapika, na hiyo video mtoto alikuwa na gongwa by that lady, and that is what triggered me. You should have seen me running to the school like a mad woman. So I went and I told the person I met in the office, please kindly handle this. Let me not even face that teacher, okay? And then I went back home and I slept over it, and I asked myself, now that I have told the office to handle it, huyu mwalimu ni kunibeba anabeba ufala, ama ni kunibeba anabeba like I am a nothing or what, okay? Because kuna kale ka respect unakuanga nako kwa mtu, ama maybe I even have started asking myself, does she have something against me or my child, you know? So I slept over it overnight, and I was like, no, I'll not just let the office handle this. I'll go handle it, me and the office, and now that teacher. So morning came, I went there very early. By 8 I was there. I waited for the person I had spoken to get there. And when they got there, I told them, now, I know I had told you to handle it, but I went back home and I decided that I was going to handle it. It was good that I have a sit down with that mwalimu so that we can have a conversation, okay? Sio kelele, we have a conversation. And that's exactly, it happened exactly as that. So she came, she was asked, is it true that you asked such and such a people to wipe their vomit? And the teacher said, yes, she did. And she was asked, under what circumstances? And she said that sasa vile I teach them how to wipe themselves after they have relieved themselves in the washroom is the same way that I teach them to wipe vomit in case they vomit. And I could not hold my peace. And I told her, mwalimu, there are things you teach a child genuinely and the child learns, like what you've given an example of how to wipe themselves after they have relieved themselves. And there are other things you teach a child which traumatizes them. And that is exactly what telling a child to wipe their vomit in front of other people would do. It would traumatize them. That child may see it as fun right now, because up to date my son still says, mimi najua kupanguza matapiko, okay? Lakini hiyo kitu itafika mahali mtoto akumbuke, there was this teacher who told me to wipe vomit in front of other people, and I did, okay? And I sat there and I asked her, do you have a child? And she said, yes. How old? Is it a boy or a girl? And I told her, you see, venye mtoto wako unaweza taka afanyiwe, also do that to you, to everyone else's child. And that is a statement I use a lot. That ile kitu huwezi taka mtoto wako asifanyiwe, usifanyie mtoto wa mwingine. That is so obvious. Okay? Haya. So we sat down, had that conversation. Unfortunately, that teacher was not remorseful. And I will say this without fear. She was not remorseful at all. That was that. Then came, si nimetoka hiyo ya matapiko. About 2 or 3 days later, I get a call at around 1:30 p.m. from the office, and they tell me, niaje, kwani mlisahau kuletea mtoto lunch? So I call home and ask, what happened? Kwani you forgot to take lunch for the child? I was told, hapana, like nilipeleka, hata nilinipata nikiwa kwa nyumba. And I called back and said, chakula ilipelekwa, so sielewi venye hajakula. Haya, sasa si wakaenda, there's a place where food is usually placed, and the person who had called me went to check hapo to the specific place, and they found my son's food there. That was 1 hour later. 1 hour later. Saa hizo watoto washakula, mwalimu ameshakula, and they are settled now. Saa hiyo ndio my son, when the bell is about to ring, that is when now my son wamepata chakula yenye ilikuwa tu hapo, yenye nimepigiwa simu kuambiwa haijaletwa. Haya, kasema imepatikana, well and good. I asked myself, this is 1 hour later. Kuna ile waiting for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So this on this particular day, the food ilikuwa the same dish that chakula inapelekwa, but it was in a different, it was in a different bag. Okay, now apparently mwalimu alikuwa na expect ikuwe in the same basket that it's usually, but on that day their big brother was not in school, so that's why it was packed differently, because we were wanaekewa pamoja. And I sat and I really thought, I really asked myself the question that kept running through my head was, I am not an irresponsible parent such that I don't care whether mtoto wangu amekula ama hajakula. No, I've done my due responsibility. The food is there, okay. Lakini for one reason or another haikuonekana. And I kept asking myself, is this someone who really has a heart for children? And along the way, as Mama so and so was taking those complaints, you could hear comments of their pupils who have been transferred because of that specific teacher. And I was wondering, up to what point will the damage be made? Now, tunini, hapo mwisho sasa, when during the closing date, as we are going for the results, as I'm waiting in line to go see, to go take the results of that child, in front of me, the one being served by the teacher was also another parent who was complaining about the same teacher to now a different teacher in the same class. And in my ears, I overheard that conversation. And in fact, I almost left the line to go back to the office and ask them and tell them, come, please come. There's also another parent here complaining about the same teacher. What is this? What is this? I mean, I don't know. So eventually, the office had concluded that that specific teacher would not be in that class come the next term. So I took my son to school yesterday. They opened yesterday. Shock on me. The same teacher is there. I didn't even go to class because I found them at the assembly, so I just let my child go. But as I was walking, I hear the voice of that teacher. I was like, oh, okay. She's clearly indispensable. But wow, that's an experience I've not experienced before. And I honestly would not want anyone to experience that. It's a bad experience. It takes away your peace as a parent, because you're left asking myself, is my child safe? Is my child really, really safe? And I don't even know why I posted this video. I just needed to let that out.